Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining. I'm Greg Schmidt, Senior Solution Engineer at Fortra for the IBM Power Solutions. Today, we're going to explore something that I work on a daily basis, and that is how to unlock the true value of your data that already lives within your organization, and especially on the IBM platform. Many have invested in powerful systems like DB2 for Microsoft SQL Server, or even Oracle. But accessing and combining that data efficiently is harder than it often should be. The goal of today's session is to show how the SQL Business Intelligence gives you a fast, secure, and flexible way to deliver insights to your users, whether if they're in finance, operations, or IT, without needing SQL experts. Before we dive into that, take a second to think about this. How many steps does it take currently today in your environment for users to get data they need to make decisions? Now, here's the roadmap for today's session. We'll begin with identifying the most common challenges companies face in getting meaningful insights from their data. And then we'll look at what SQL BI actually is and what makes it unique, especially for those of you running natively on an IBM. Next, I'll demonstrate how SQL connects and transforms and visualizes your data and how it fits naturally into your existing departmental processes and automation. Finally, we'll close with some Q&A if time permits, and then some practical next steps for you. My goal is to have you walk away knowing exactly how to make data access easier and more impactful within your organization. Now, feel free to enter any questions into the chat window, and I'll address them towards the end of the webinar if time allows. And remember that today's event is being recorded, and you will receive a link that you can share with anyone in your organization that could not attend today's session, or if you want to rewatch something, you sure can. Your IBM platform already does more than organization realize. It hosts critical data, runs your core applications, and keeps everything secure and reliable. Yet, too often, the insights locked into the data aren't being shared across the enterprise. At Fortra, our Power Solutions portfolio, Robot, SQL, PowerTech, and our WebDoc solutions are designed to unleash the potential. This slide shows how we can help you protect, automate, monitor, and visualize your IBM environment as part of a cohesive digital ecosystem. SQL BI plays the role of data access and visualization layer, bridging the gap between raw DB2 data and user-ready intelligence. Now, another question to ask yourself is, think about your own environment in this case. Is your IBM data as visible and actionable as it should be across different departments? Quick background on me. I've spent years helping customers modernize, how they access documents, data, and automate their IBM workloads. My specialties span from document and forms automation, robotic process automation, security, system management, and of course, business intelligence. I've worked with hundreds of organizations over my 25 plus years, and that were relying on outdated green screen queries and manual exported reports. My main mission is to show how tools like SQL BI and Robot Schedule, in this case, can transform, their experience and deliver real-time insights and automation in ways that are secure, scalable, and intuitive. And this leads us right into the biggest challenges our customers tell us every day. Across industries, we hear remarkable and similar stories. Data is, spread across multiple systems. Reports are slow to run, and users can't easily get the information they need without going through IT. Many teams rely on custom queries written years ago, and no one really wants to touch them in fear of breaking them. C-level executives are pushing for real-time analytics, yet the underlying query tools can't keep up. Non-technical users feel locked out of exporting data to Excel, And this sort of has become the default, right? And sometimes, depending on how they're doing this, it introduces errors and security risks. SQL BI directly addresses these pain points and simplifies access, modernizes the interface, and bridges the gap between business and users and technical data sources. If you recognize a few of these issues in your own environment, you're definitely not alone. SQL isn't just another reporting tool. It's a business information platform built with IBMI in mind, but capable of reaching across any JDBC compliant database. It centralizes your queries, views, dashboards, scripts, and into one repository so you can reuse and secure them consistently. The real value is how it empowers both technical and non-technical users. IT teams can create reusable parameter queries that business users can run safely with runtime prompts. Developers gain productivity and executives gain visibility, all within a browser, Microsoft Excel, or a dashboard. Now let's see how this integrates with automation, because insights mean even more when they're delivered automatically. When you pair SQL BI with our robot schedule, the automation possibilities expand dramatically. Imagine, generating a SQL report at midnight, exporting it to Excel or a PDF, and having it securely emailed to department heads before the start of business. No manual steps, no missed deadlines. Robot schedule, robot replay, and robot alert ensure not only time, but also error handling, audit trails, and escalations. Together, they form a data-driven automation loop. SQL drives insights, robot manages execution, and the organization stays informed automatically. Now think about the most critical morning reports. How much time could you save if those were automatically created and distributed? The data is only valuable if it's accessible. Many organizations still face siloed systems, lack of self-service access, and outdated report processes that can't scale. SQL tackles these by often centralizing access, giving robust security, and performance built specifically for the IBMI and hybrid data environments. It turns static reports into live interactive dashboards, meaning your users can drill down, filter, and analyze without needing IT intervention. The result is fast decision making, greater confidence, and data accuracy, and improving business agility. Let's talk about how SQL provides the right tools for every type of user, from users, analysts, to executives, and even IT and programmers. Different users consume data differently. Some prefer pivot tables in Excel, others need interactive dashboards. Others just want a daily summary in their inbox. SQL meets all those needs in one platform. You can deliver daily automation reports, web dashboards, or live Excel connections, all from the same central repository. That consistency ensures that whether data is accessible via a browser or a spreadsheet, it's always governed, accurate, and up to date. When you think about your users now, what is their preferred way to interact with the data today? Could you centralize that help? Now we're going to move on to what is SQL and how can it help within your organization. Behind the scenes, SQL maintains, again, that central repository for all your queries, reports, and dashboards. This ensures consistency. Everyone uses the same definitions for metrics, filters, and calculations. It also simplifies governance and version control. IT defines the secure framework, and users operate confidently within it. The result is faster reporting, cleaner audits, and complete visibility of your BI assets. SQL was designed for practical everyday use. Importing an existing query or building a new view or query over the top of your data, or connecting to Excel in just a few clicks. The idea is to remove friction between the users and the data instead of waiting on IT or external consultants or programmers. Business users can answer their own questions, and IT can focus on strategic initiatives. This slide illustrates SQL's end-to-end approach. First, it collects, during this process, you can collect and connect to all major databases. DB2, native DB2 is the base one. Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and even Excel can be used as a data source. Then this will help you understand the data by letting you design queries, dashboards, and visualizations with no coding required. Finally, it lets you share that data via the web browser, email, or Excel. Creating a true single source of truth. That's the foundation of self-service BI. IT maintains control while users gain their freedom. So how does this transform actually look in practice? Let's explore what digital transformation of your data really means. Now, digital transformation isn't just about moving, maybe to a cloud or adopting new tools. It's about making data more valuable. SQL BI brings together your data sources and turns them into actionable stories through interactive dashboards and reports. And by integrating with the Fortress IBMI Power Automation ecosystem, SQL becomes the storytelling layer, bridging the data and with action. Users can visualize performance trends, track KPIs, and explore what-if scenarios directly from their browser. Now, think of one recurring business question that teams struggle to answer quickly. And that's exactly the type of challenge SQL is built to solve. One of SQL's biggest strengths is accessibility across skill levels. Expert users can build complex SQL queries and dashboards, while beginners can use runtime prompts and predefined reports. Everyone interacts with the same underlying data, just through interfaces that match their comfort level. This approach reduces dependency on IT and promotes self-service analytics when data becomes available at every level of the organization. Decisions speed up and collaboration improves dramatically. Now let's look at the broader ecosystem of SQL BI and how it connects to the entire data landscape. SQL BI, again, is designed for cross-platform access, as I talked about earlier. It connects to any Type 4 JDBC compliant database. So DB2, Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, and more, right? So any compliant one, allowing you to blend IBMI data with other enterprise systems. So you can create dashboards and pivot tables, Excel, using the Excel plugin and using automation script. SQL gives you the full suite of tools for transforming raw data into insights. The flexibility to access and visualize information from anywhere sets SQL apart from the traditional IBMI only query tools. Now, many different data sources can be managed, again, like we talked about today. So think about connecting all your different data sources together. So running this all from the IBMI, connecting all those different ecosystems together and creating a visual dashboard with all those different pieces of information inside of there, instead of having someone to run, to each of those systems to get it. Now, before we get into the live demonstration here, just a couple more slides here. Here is where SQL truly shines, right? Again, dashboards, from the, I'll call it deployment methods, right? So dashboards consolidate key metrics across systems. Runtime prompts, can make reports, dynamic. So you can actually cut down on how many reports that are needed inside of there in some cases, right? Or how many queries are inside of there, right? You could have a runtime prompt that actually has a date prompt and has maybe it has a department or a location prompt or something in there, so you can use those across there. Web interface delivers access from any browser. Excel integration bridges the power user community. So if you have a heavy power user community that loves Excel, you can do that directly from Excel in those different cases, right? So the business, controls the data, but the users can use the data the way they have security to it. Automation assures these insights arrive in a timely fashion if needed, so we can put automation in place. Like I was talking about earlier, using the robot schedule product, or you can use the native job scheduler as well inside of there. Just that the robot solution does have some more features than what the native job scheduler has. Security is a non-negotiable thing, right? When it comes to data, especially when working with we're working with your IBMI. SQL Web Interfaces enforce IBMI authentication and honors object level authority, meaning that users see only what they're authorized to access. This is a huge differentiator compared with off-platform BI tools. It lets organizations embrace self-service BI while maintaining compliance and governance. Users can view, filter, export data safely from anywhere without compromising system integrity. Now remember, security and accessibility can coexist. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. All right, now for the live demonstration portion of the webinar. Today I'm going to cover the SQL BI solution. We're going to go through and we're going to import a query into the system and show you how easy to access the query within seconds after importing through the web interface. And then I'll get into some of the other deployment tools as well towards the end. But then I want to show also just creating a quick query inside the system. So I want to show those two simple, easy use cases here. All right, to start out, I'm going to log into one of my systems here that I have access to that has SQL loaded. I'm logging in with my IBMI credentials. After I log in with my IBMI credentials, I'm going to go up here and select custom. What custom is going to do, it's going to load my library list that I have set for me inside of here. It's going to have all my different ones inside of here. I'm going to go to my Greg temp library here, and then I'm going to do an import of one here. So I'm going to do an import of a query 400 query that I have out of my system. I'm going to do import query definition. I'm going to change it to my QRY where my queries are stored at. And I'm going to grab one, or I could grab many in this case, in other cases if I wanted to. But for this case here, I'm just going to grab that one and import it into the system to show you how quick and easy it is. So I'm going to hit my import, and you see it's already imported into the system at that point. So whatever that query was, I can actually run that right now with inside of the SQL interface here. So I can run that right from here, or if I'm deploying that to users, that is deployed to users already inside of there. So if you see here, if I refresh, the sales is here. So if they double click through the web interface, and the web interface, all they have to do is log in through the web. I'm already logged in with my user ID and password from the IBMI system. But that's how quick it was and easy to access that. So once that is converted into the system, they can then, if they have access to the library that's been put into, they can come in here and double click and work with that file right from here as well. Now, just to stay in the web interface here really quick, so there's many different things you can do with the web interface. So if I want to be able to view that from here, if I want to be able to save and download it, I can save and download it from here. I can print it, I can email it, I can create graphs and charts with stuff. So in this case here, say that I wanted to, say I had some, I'll say uglier data that I was working with in this case, right? I can come into here and say, hey, here's my information. I want to be able to query. Maybe I want to be able to add some subtotals in this case. Now you could have this all pre-configured inside of here, so it would actually show up a lot, more presentable to the user. But just in case the user wants to be able to have some interaction with this, and then they could take this information and say, hey, I want to create a graph or chart with the visual, make some kind of visuals to tell the story with the data. And then they can also do some visualization with that data inside of here as well. Now, like I said, they could have this stuff set up already from that standpoint to interact with it. So here's one that has some totaling done already in it. The user doesn't have to do interaction with it. So the web interface is a really nice way to, zero footprint to deploy to users to quickly access the data, download the data if they need it in different formats they need it in. So it's really nice in those cases. Now going back to the viewpoint designer. So the viewpoint designer is where I did my import process at here. Now it also allows you to create different SQL objects, and all those different SQL objects are views, dashboards, scripts if you want to build scripts and stuff inside of here. So there's different things that you can do. I'll just create a quick view here from that standpoint so you can sort of see that. But some of the stuff is really easy to be able to do in here. So there's a couple different views inside of here. So you can do there's a SQL view if you want to do the SQL statement here. There's a files and fields tab, and there's also a view builder tab. View builder tab is more of a wizard. The files and fields is more of a visual right click and add kind of option. I'm going to add a SQL exe library. This is our sample library out there. And I'm going to grab a couple databases here from this standpoint. I'm going to grab my customer master and order head, grab it in here. You'll see that it actually did an auto join. You can have rules inside the system to say if certain things are loaded, you can have that populate in and do those auto joins. If not, you can just drag and drop over the top to create those joins. And you can control those joins by right-clicking on the join and going into join options and doing different things with them here as well. Now, building this query is very simple, right? So now if I wanted to say, hey, I wanted the customer name inside of here. I wanted the customer number. I wanted all their order numbers inside of here. Maybe I wanted, different information, ship via or something like that. So now you can start grabbing this information from the order head and customer master file here. And then when you're done with selecting that information, now there's more things you can do here, like drop downs and prompts and all that stuff that you can do here. But there's other things you can do here as well. So you can sort these in here so to make them a lot easier. But you can add different field value names, like maybe someone doesn't know what CNAME is. You want to put an alternative name like customer name, customer number, order number, and ship via, or shipment to type or something like that. So you can actually, define that a little bit more in here from the administrator standpoint. Now, after you're done with that, you can test it right from here. You can say, hey, I want to see what that looks like. You can hit the display and actually see what that looks like from the data standpoint, what you pulled. Or if you want to be able to deploy that right now, you can hit the save button here, and I can actually put that into my, for just finding purposes, Greg temp library, and I'll call it Greg test 12, we'll call it. And then we'll put that inside of that temp directory. Now, when I save that, that's already available inside the system to me. So if I go back over to my web browser and I go back in here and refresh, that Greg test 12 is right there. So if I want to run that, I can just double click and populate that in there. So very easy to be able to do that process there. Now, with that process, you could do, like I said, you could do all the other things inside of here. You could do some sorts and, make the data look like you want. You can have different, drop downs. You could have different drill ins if you wanted to in some cases, but you have all that capability with inside the system to be able to do that. Now that concludes the demo portion of the webinar. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the challenges of traditional data access to how SQL BI transforms that process into a secure self-service experience. If you take one thing away from today's session, let it be data empowerment isn't just about technology. It's about giving people the right tools to make smarter, faster decisions. SQL BI delivers that through simplicity, security, and also scalability. I just want to thank everyone for again for joining today. You will receive a link to a recording that you can rewatch or share with anyone in the organization that might not been able to attend. Feel free to give us a call or send us an email with any questions that you might have, and also schedule a live demonstration. And even if you would like to, we also do trials of the software as well. So if we can put some requirements around a trial, we can also put a small trial together for you to try it out in your own environments. Again, thank you, and have a great rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thanks.